It's time to stand up, time to take the red pill, to make this our world, gonna die on this hill. Get ready to fight and be ready to kill.
Hey, welcome to the DragonShip, and it's episode 25, guys. I am really pleased today. We've got special guests in studio today, joining us all the way from Japan, and today we're going to have a real good time talking about Men's Health November. This is our final episode, episode 25. We're going to talk about your woman will leave you. Oh my goodness. So this is going to be crazy, but if you ever stop being attractive, no matter what your level of desire is for her, if you stop being attractive, you're sitting on a ticking time bomb with your woman. And her orbiters, believe it or not, are sitting there orbiting in her IG and her Facebook now. So today, arm yourself with the experience of all of us, and we're going to talk about this. Climb aboard the DragonShip and have a timely discussion. Remember, here on the DragonShip, a rising tide lifts all ships. So be that rising tide. Here we go, gentlemen. Let me introduce everybody. Phil Foster, how you doing, brother?
Doing okay, man. What's going on today?
It's a beautiful Saturday. Glenn Laurence, how you doing? Yo, yo, yo.
Yo, what's good, guys? I'm surprised. I'm excited. We have MLD here today.
I know it. I know it. And Jonathan, looking sharp with his blue blockers on, the originator of Money, Muscles, Game, and Frame. Jonathan, welcome.
What up? How's it going, everybody? Just living it up here in Tokyo, Japan.
Yeah, thank you. It's like 3 a.m. there, isn't it?
3:30.
Wow, that's crazy, man. Getting up to join us. We just love it. Mark Daniels, all the way in mid-America. How are you doing, brother?
Great to be here.
Excellent. And one of the anchors of the DragonShip, Raith, Deantior, you're muted right now, but please jump on in and say hi to everybody.
Hey, everybody. I'm going to be muted most of the time. Got kind of a cough thing going on, so when I talk, I'll come off mute. But don't think I'm not.
Well, thanks for joining us, and we got people piling in the chat. Guys, feel free to ask questions and enjoy today's show. We are talking about a pretty heavy subject, and I'll just go ahead and get it started if you guys don't mind. So let's talk about your woman. Let's just go ahead and do it. I mean, your woman will leave you, and the odds and the probabilities state that this is true. And it's a really unfortunate, hard thing when you consider that, when you're entering a long-term relationship, especially a state-sponsored long-term relationship in the modern era in the West, which, by the way, I strongly disagree with any state-sponsored long-term relationship, as it's an unconscionable contract for any man to enter into. However, many men want to do this, and it's very much encouraged here in the West. But the realities that are out there is she's going to leave you. It's far too likely. It's the toss of a coin. 50% of marriages end in divorce. And oh, by the way, the other 50%, not to be a downer, but they end in death. So 50%. And the divorce rate is pretty interesting in the West in the fact that if you do lose that toss of the coin and you happen to have connected yourself with an educated woman out of the university system here in the West, it's 90% likely she's going to leave you. Now, there's hope. If you didn't marry an educated woman, there's only a 70% likelihood that she's going to leave you. So it's up to you guys. Maybe you should go after the uneducated women. Well, if you look at the media, of course, us cretins always go after the uneducated women. That's why we're leaving the country and going to places like Japan, right, John? So that's kind of silly, but it's kind of bleak, really, at this point. But I don't think it's all that bleak, but you really need to understand what that's all about. And I would like to share with you guys, some of the stuff that I just ran into on the internet that is coming out and coming to light just recently is that, women actually cheat more than men, it's coming to find out. And I just go ahead and I'll put it up on the screen. We'll get you guys to jump in with comments if you want. Let's put up on the screen. And I'm not going to read all of these, but I just want to kind of set the stage on why your woman's going to leave you. Affairs put a spring in your step and boost self-esteem and life satisfaction, but only if you're a woman. This whole article studied 609 people, but if you read it, the real upshot of this is that it's good for women to cheat. Interesting. This is what society has come to. And here's another one from the New York Post. Women are more likely to cheat than men, and here's why. I'm not going to bore you with this article, but I will tell you this. This is written by this woman out of Australia, and here's the upshot of it. When men cheat, they're bad. They're very, very bad. Very, very, very bad. When women cheat, it's because, essentially, in this article, men are still very, very bad, so that's what caused the women to cheat. And here's another one. Maybe women are actually worse cheats than men. I actually kind of tend to think this is probably true. And the reason this is probably true, and it's probably always been true, there's such a thing as called cuckoldry. And this is where the woman has another man raising her children. And as we have entered the modern era, we've noticed that the DNA tests, and I'll show this here, are starting to support the fact that this is much more common than you realize. Your father's not your father when DNA tests reveal more than you bargained for. Now, I'm not showing you the studies, but the studies are embedded in these articles. Here's The Guardian. Here's another one. At-home DNA tests become more common. People must grapple with the surprises about their parents. Now, this is so prevalent. When I went to 23andMe, they actually have a page and they have a staff that's all about this. And what I did find out from all of this right here is that, guys, when there's actually a question to parentage, when there's a relationship, that out of all the DNA tests, 32% of the time when requested, the father is not the father. I think it's probably always existed like this. So what I'm getting at with your woman leaving you, maybe she doesn't leave you, but has you raised the children. How about this? You know, she's going to definitely, or at least probably in general, going to seek some of that fresh DNA because, you know, your DNA gets awfully stale sitting in the refrigerator. So what do you guys think about all this and your woman going to leave you? Why is it like this? Why is it so high? And why is it so prevalent, even in dating circles, that the women kind of step out and eventually leave? John?
So I will push back on this because actually I looked for the study on that article that's going viral right now. And I actually emailed the lady who conducted the study, and I have not heard back from her because I can't seem to find that study anywhere online. Her name is Olga Stanavrova or something along those lines.
Is this the one in Australia?
That's the one citing that cheating boosts self-esteem. So I have my bachelor's degree in psychology. And so for 4 years, all I did was read psychological papers and studies. And so I'm not totally inclined to believe that this female cheating is so rampant because I've actually haven't seen too much concrete proof. All I'm seeing is like that it's basically sensationalized by the mainstream media who is just doing this for clicks. Like if you actually do a little bit of a digging, and you know what, I could be wrong, but when I ever do the digging, I actually don't find too much data that's actually indicating that female cheating is so prevalent. Now I could be wrong, right? Because who knows? But every time I'm with the girls that I'm with, like they seem pretty obsessed with me and me only. And typically in my personal experiences, women don't want to go out and sleep with a bunch of dudes. Like typically when they're with me, they're like super obsessed with me. They're like stalking my Instagram all the time. They're texting me all the time. You know, they're keeping tabs on me. They're always like looking for shit around my house. Like whose stuff is here? What's going on here? So I'm a little like perplexed as to is this actual concrete data? Because even if 32% of the time the child comes back as not the guys, that still means that
That was in requested tests.
Right. Requested tests. And what do you mean?
That means there was a reason to think the child wasn't theirs.
So that means 68% of the time the child was theirs.
Yes.
So the majority is still leaning towards fidelity.
Well, no, that's not necessarily true. It's meaning like those are only 32% of the time that the guys questioned whether it was theirs or not.
No.
Found out that it wasn't. But there's still a bunch of guys that never even questioned it.
Right.
That are still raising kids that might not be theirs biologically.
But we don't have data. The only data we have is 32% of the time showing that.
Yes.
So still the majority is there saying that the majority of men who do request these, the children are actually theirs.
That is right. That's right. And it does deserve some pushback because I think that there's actually, John, that there's a media push to make it okay. There's a support because, I mean, we've all seen it in the media, the training, the conditioning of young women to be 304s, the whole wokeism, all that stuff. And we know that that's bad. We know that's bad for their psyche and they're not really built to be happy that way, but that's being pushed severely. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I definitely think there's absolutely an agenda. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about that. I mean, it's coming more and more prevalent. I mean, you could just turn on any mainstream media. You have channels, ABC in every fucking country, or excuse me, every county and city, and you see them literally reading off the same word for word script. And I mean, with recently what happened in 2020 with the whole fucking global pandemic situation, it was just a game of fucking telephone. And look what happened. The whole world got fucked up because it was a bunch of idiots repeating some shit that no one really did any research into. You know what I mean? It just took me 2 seconds to be like, wait a minute. So this thing has a 99% chance to not kill me and everybody's freaking out?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know. It's actually, yeah, exactly like that. And I think that the media has been really relevant in pushing women and driving the divorce machine too. It's cash and prizes. And they're all taught from an early age, the 6'6", right? I mean, the 6'6" is 6 feet tall, 6-pack abs, 6-figure income, 6 inches below the belt, 600 horsepower car, and a 6 months out of their last relationship. It's so prevalent that our friends over at Fresh and Fit, every time they ask, it comes out of all of the women's mouth right up till their 40s. What do you think? It's got to be a media drive. I think it's actually on purpose. Phil, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so a few of the things I think, I get what he's saying about, I get what MLD's saying about the data, right? My thought process is this. I think we live in a current society that is pushing this narrative on women. Okay, they think that it's okay to behave in this manner. Okay, and in my experience around women, I've had a little bit of experience, maybe not as much as MLD, I don't know, but 9 times out of 10, the women in my past or the women that I've come across that I've had conversation with about this have stepped out on their husband or significant other. And whether they had children or not, I have no idea. The moral of the story is they definitely do step out. So the question is, why are they stepping out, right? Why are they moving towards that feral instinct? What is causing that drive? And that's what I would like MLD to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. What are your thoughts on that? Why do you think they would be stepping out?
I just think that in the West in general, people are just being pushed towards hedonism, anything to destabilize society. Like, think about this. And then, like in the early 90s, women weren't singing songs like "I'm gonna shake my pussy and get that dick" and blah 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 and cheat on this guy, right? It just doesn't, like, that's not there. And humans are followers. They're not leaders. The majority of people are sheeple. And when you're just constantly playing that and endorsing it and glorifying that, it's I don't know, it's pretty wild. Maybe I'm just coping so hard, and like maybe all these bitches are just cheating fucking sluts, and maybe I'm delusional, but I mean that could be it too, because I know I fucking stay cheating. So do I want them not to be cheating? Fuck no, I'm disgusted when I see a woman cheating. I'm like, ew, look at this nasty fucking whore. I don't like that shit at all, bro. It turns me the fuck off. And maybe I've just been getting got. Maybe I'm not as old as you guys. Like, maybe you guys are all wiser and smarter than me. So you know. But for me, I don't know. My experiences when the girls have been with me, they've been pretty fucking pretty ride or die. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. I
As
mean,
long as you're doing, as
I
long
don't.
as you're doing the lead, that's the deal. I listened to what you said. They're calling you, they're chasing you, they're after you, wondering what you're doing. When it's in that position, I don't think they will cheat because I've been in that position myself, as well as the other position where I was being the good father, good husband, the provider, and they all cheated. So it really depends on the man. If you take the percentage of women that are cheating for a man like John or like a man like me when I was playing the game years ago or like I do now, it would be very low, if any. But when you try to follow the agenda of society and be the provider, the husband that they tell you need to be, a woman gets bored pretty quick and she's looking around.
Well, so that's pretty interesting because that actually brings up, the alpha seed beta need portion that we all are aware of in the red pill. And it also brings up Rollo's cardinal rule that he was stated in his book, which was what was it? It was the one that talks about in any relationship, the person with the most power is the one who needs the other person the least. And that really goes a long way to explaining why they don't cheat on you, John and Mark, in those circumstances. And when you relinquish your power as the provider, you're being the workhorse. We all heard the term, oh, he's a workhorse and she's got the reins, and those are the guys you find out. And I've lived long enough and experienced enough times working with men. There's at least a third to 50% of my crews are going through a divorce, and nearly every power lineman I've ever worked with has a starter wife, and infidelity is nearly always an issue. Of course, I live in California, where this is very prevalent, but their ultimate desire was to be a family man and retain a family, and yet somehow this happens to them. Is it because we're broadcasting cash and prizes and incentivizing the women, or is it because the men are actually losing the power in the relationship to lead? Comments?
Islam was right about women. I'm converting.
Well, interesting. You see the difference between the West and the East in this, in Asia too. Now I know it's creeping in, but tell me about that. What is your primary thoughts on the difference? Because I know you're not real hip on American women right now. But you're definitely don't fit the mold of a passport, bro. I mean, you went through a hell of a rite of passage to get to the East.
Dude, I came to the third strongest economy on the planet. Okay.
Exactly.
Passport bros are dudes who go to fucking third world shitholes, and these girls fucking are taking a shot at the title. They're trying to get the fuck out of their little shithole. I went to Colombia. Have you ever been to Colombia? Has anybody here been to Colombia? It sucks.
I've been there several times.
There's no hope in Colombia. If you're born in Colombia, it's like there's no Colombian dream. Like you're
Latin
fucked.
America in general too.
Yeah, so it would be like the women there are probably just grasping at straws, anything for a better life, I could imagine, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Japan's not like that. But you probably see some traditional roles over there. But I know Japan has some interesting cultural differences that they may have been overblown. But married couples will sometimes have lovers on the side, but they stay married there in Japan. That's not totally out of the question. Any way you could comment on that, being part of that culture?
The Japanese view marriage as an economical unit, right? As they should. And typically, like I have a friend, right? He's a high-ranking officer in the Japanese self-defense force. He's the first Japanese person to ever fly an Osprey. And he's a pilot. He's a badass, right? His name's Akira. And he has a wife, and a lot of these wives, once they have the kids, like their job is just to raise the kids, and like they're not out there slutting it up. They're not out there like, oh, I just need some fucking dick, right? Because they're just they got a big they're committed to a bigger picture. They're committed to taking the kid. Now, are all women like his wife? Because he has his wife. I mean, he'll never see this, so I'll just say it. He has his wife, and like he does his own thing on the side. And she just stays home, takes care of the daughters, and he sends her money. He works full time. She doesn't work, and that's her life and that's her job. Now, who knows? Maybe she is getting some fucking on the side, but Japanese guys certainly are not going to fucking tolerate it at all. You know what I mean? So I think that I definitely think because the only reason women are like considered boss babes and all this fucking delusional bullshit in America is because The economic machine that is America determined that, oh wait, women are dumb and we can take their fucking money if we just lie to them and strip men of authority over them. And that's what's happened. And look what happened. Look, let's talk about women's liberation and the achievement of the modern woman. Become the fattest people in human history.
Yeah.
Addicted to personal prescription drugs, STDs at an all-time high, abortions at an all-time high. Like, you can't even tell dudes to stop coming inside you. Like, that's the level of fucking stupidity that these chicks have gotten themselves into. So, I mean, for them just to, I mean, honestly, every girl that I know, every girl that I've ever met and dated, like through, you know, just meeting them like apps or whatever, like 9 times out of 10, her personal life is in shambles if she doesn't have a strong father figure helping her along the way. These chicks, their finances are a mess. They're fucking alcoholics. They're getting dick down left and right, and they're just self-destructing. So, I mean, and none of these corporations and governments care in the United States because all they care for getting from women is money and votes. That's just the bottom line. So, I mean, that's a big difference because the Japanese care about Japan, Japanese culture. They care about the Japanese people. Because that's the thing. Think about these, how can I put this? Homogenous societies, right? In Japan, like, do you know, like 98% of people in Japan are Japanese? Like, that's a huge thing. They all work as one unit. They all care about like Japan, Japanese culture. They consistently say Japan is for the Japanese. It is not for white people. It's not for black people. It's not for Spanish people. It's not for Chinese people. This is our country. This is Japan. It's for the Japanese people. So I think when America has kind of become this kind of just giant fucking conglomerate, what is morality? What is ethics? Their morality is to the highest bidder. Their ethics is to the fucking next caller. You know what I mean? So what do you really expect when you strip God and you strip the family away and you just tell these? I mean, it's becoming modern day Sodom and Gomorrah. So
yeah, absolutely, for sure. Yeah, I'm always amazed at the West and the promotion of this stuff. Now, getting back to why your woman will leave you, at least in my mind, that if you've been married for any length of time, there's some actual natural things that occur in a relationship. It starts to wane. So we're talking about relationships, and on the thumbnail you can kind of see the alpha seed, beta need sort of situation, and you can see it all around you. You'll have a marriage that appears nice, but you know, she's got her beta provider, she's nested down, and yet Julio the pool boy shows up and there's something going on. And ultimately this can lead to problems. I had another article that I had read earlier about the influence of social media on relationships. And I didn't show it, but apparently it has an extreme impact on women if they start to look on social media and talk on social media with men or people they've known in their past. I'm sure it has a lot to do with that alpha widowing for guys when they see their old high school sweetheart and things like that, and they start talking and imagining getting those dopamine hits. And men, I'll say this. I have counseled so many men. They get into their relationship and they have won the lottery because you know what? Getting regular sex is fantastic. Most men never do. A third of us are sexless now, below 30 years of age. And, you know, you get that. It feels good. It sounds good. You got this woman and you start to, at least the church tells you to pedestalize her. And that's wrong. Remember the good wife, you know, the happy wife, happy life, sort of a happy wife, happy life situation that the churches are broadcasting. And then you stop, you know, working out, drinking a beer here and there. You start getting fat. I mean, males in America are very fat across the West too. And then they stop being attractive, John. I mean, men start to fade pretty quickly too under marriage circumstance. They lose their edge.
I'm not justifying like what women are doing, but I definitely can understand like the reasons why they do it. When they like, if the dude starts slipping, you know what I mean? That's why I tell guys, you know, that once you're in a relationship, like every man out here in this corner is like trying to get some pussy, right? If you can't lead, if you're not a leader, your woman will cheat on you eventually. The relationship will fall apart because you have to, like, Life, everybody just thinks it's about getting money. Everybody thinks about getting muscles. Everything's about getting girls, right? That's just the first step. The second step is maintaining, getting the money, keeping the money, getting the muscles, and then keeping the muscles, getting the girl, and then keeping the girl. And nobody's focused on this because they're too focused on this. And that's a big thing, because there's like relationship maintenance is one of the biggest things that I would say the majority of men do not know how to do. But more importantly, I think I want to hear what somebody else in this panel has to say. I want to hear about the man who makes me feel dumb every time I talk to him, Mr. Raith, my personal mentor behind the scenes. If you guys don't know who my mentor is, it's Raith. And when I talk to him, I just sit there. I'm like, God damn it, I am so dumb. And I'm so lucky to have this man in my fucking life to fucking educate me. I want to hear what you guys say, Raith.
Well, we've talked about a lot, and I think when you look at media and what they're putting in media and stuff, it's about taking women and telling them that to be equal to a man, you must have certain characteristics. Okay. And they pick some of the worst characteristics of a man that prevent him from maintaining a relationship. Okay. That's not to say that, everything that's in the books, Rollo's books and all that. It's not to say all that's not true. But when John's talking about maintaining relationships, you're going to change some behaviors when you're with a woman. Okay. You shouldn't change every behavior when you're with a woman, because when you take on that leadership role, you also take on that stewardship role of the woman. And that means that you have to be a steward of her. A lot of men can't or aren't willing or even able to understand that in order to maintain a relationship. Okay. If you maintain that relationship in that sense, then the cheating doesn't happen. And that's not about changing yourself. It's about having an understanding that you have to lead within the relationship, maintain your frame, maintain your essence of you, your true authentic self, but also incorporate or have the ability to incorporate her into your life. So that means you're going to give up some things. All right. And when you have children, that means you're going to give up a little bit more. But we're just as disproportionate on the man side when we say we take a woman in and she's supposed to be submissive to us. And then we don't understand what submissive is. All right. And we have this, slave mentality about what submission is. Submission isn't making them your slave. Submission is them giving you the authority over them and playing to your strengths so that you prosper and that she understands that she'll prosper. That's the proper way to frame submission to you. If you sit there and you say, I want a slave, then she's not going to stay with you forever. She's going to call you abuser, and that's the common thing now. All right. And then the relationship's going to go away. And she's going to cheat. There's nothing you can do about it. But she's cheating based on your behavior or your lack of behavior is a better way to put it. Your lack of understanding of women, your lack of understanding of leadership, your lack of understanding of submission. And I'm trying to keep it at 2.5 minutes, so I'm going to shut up.
No. You're always welcome. If you haven't made your point, Raith, always, man. And you know what? You're right. Men can set the stage for all of this, and we have for many decades, for sure. But here's the thing. It's still a choice. And Phil Foster, I know you have some things to add to this, and I'd like to get your points on the points that were just made.
Can I say one more thing? And this gets perpetuated because men don't fulfill their obligation. It gets passed down to their daughters through their mothers. It's perpetuated based on our behavior.
That is true. Yeah. Phil.
So now I'm done.
Yeah, just to get ready for the show, I just did a few quick Google searches, and just, different topics, and I found that this is an interesting thing right here. This is, this was on a forum that I found for people that are getting married, and it's directed towards women. And it says, the big thing is there's 12 reasons generally that women will step out on their man and go look for that extra DNA. The number one reason is dissatisfaction in the relationship. The second one is low self-esteem. Let that sink in for a second. Low self-esteem. The third one is emotional starvation. Number 4 is anger or retribution. She's looking to pay him back for some sort of behavior that he's that he's displayed. Number 5 is lack of excitement. Number 6 is sexual deprivation, like she's underfucked. You know what I mean? She's not being handled properly. Loneliness, once again, that falls into that, that category. Insecure attachment style, and I'm sure Raith can touch on that. Midlife crisis was number 9. Number 10 is an underlying condition, which I don't understand that one. 11, and this is why, the boss babe idea is a horrible idea for women, is opportunity. Let that sink in for a second. Opportunity, gents. And number 12 is numbing difficult feelings. So if they have unresolved issues, they're numbing them out by acting in that certain way. But I find it interesting that number 2 is low self-esteem. And I'd like MLD to comment on a couple of those if he's still with us. I know the time difference is crazy, but I find that very, very interesting. Your thoughts on that, MLD?
Yeah, bro. You know, me girls, I've told them like, "Oh, baby, you're not ugly."
Go, man, go.
The use of lies in game.
Yeah, no, man, because they're just like, they're like the wounded gazelle at the end of the herd. They're like limping along, and I'm like, oh yeah, look at this one. But yeah, because a lot of women, they feel a lot. Okay, I always talk about inner game, right, which falls under frame here. And then the thing is this: so with these chicks, they fucking they will use male compassion, or not compassion. They will use sexual intimacy as a band-aid to like kind of feel some kind of connection. Does that make sense? Like when they can't self-validate, when they feel empty inside, when they feel damaged, when they feel hurt, when they feel sad and alone, a guy can come along and fucking comfort them, and then they'll give in to having sex with that guy because they just want to feel loved and attached. And that happens more than guys think, man. I've been that guy. Like, I went on a date with this really hot girl recently, and she's 25, and she was like dating some like real, like, well, the way she described him was an abusive, psychopathic narcissist. I was like, yeah, that's the same thing my ex called me. Great. But just I sat there and I listened to her, and she was a little insecure about herself. And I just sat there and listened to her non-judgmentally, and she was just spewing it out. And I was just like, I just looked at her like a little fly caught in my web, just like, oh, I'm just so hurt and I'm so angry. He did these things to me. I'm like, oh, babe, this is so terrible. Let's get out of this place. It's too crowded. Let's go talk somewhere private. How about we go to your place? And she's like, yeah, you sure we're not going to do anything? I was like, no, we're just going to talk. I like talking to you, right? And she knows I'm full of shit. She knows she's full of shit. But you comfort them, and you kind of be that little safe, non-judgmental place for them to recoil into. And no, things happen. This girl's a smoke show, man. This girl's a fucking underwear model. She's and for all the fucking the black pill guys out there, she's taller than me, and I'm 5'10". I'm 5
Love
foot.
it.
Wow.
Love it, man.
Smoke show, dude. 34C tits, flat stomach, nice round ass, Filipina model. Whew, fucking hottie. 25 years old. Listen, I was talking shit all day next day to all my friends. I was like, I still got it, guys.
Yes.
Hey, Phil, I'd like to comment on a couple of those too, particularly insecurity and then the anger situation.
Yeah.
With those lists, because the insecurity, I think, is very inbuilt in women. That's part of their competition anxiety for sure. And I'll say this for the guys, you'll hear that in the relationship. If you pay attention, you're going to hear those insecurities, because if she's insecure, you're going to get a lot of shit tests. And particularly, you're going to get those comfort tests, the ones that are testing to see if you're still the alpha rock that she actually married or hooked up with. So pay attention to that, because there's tools. And I'm going to have to promote MLD on that. That's part of his game, is part of his repertoire. And he came up with Money's Muscles, Game and Frame, which addresses these precisely in a really easy to understand format. The second part is when they're angry, guys, you're going to get a lot of hints here. You're going to get hints. They're going to say things. Okay. You're going to get things when she's mad at you, like, I really love you, but it's like a brother, you got trouble. And, or if you see any level of contempt, like you'll be driving along with her, you're looking outside and you see the beautiful blue sky. And you say, honey, look at that beautiful blue sky. And her response is this: It's not really blue. It's an off gray. Those are very tells that something is not right. And if you ignore it, she will seek the comfort of another alpha. And she'll say, I just need some space.
Yep.
And the men on this panel, our middle names are Space.
That's right. Universal, man. You know, let me just tee off of that real quick since you brought that anger and retribution up. I'll further extrapolate that for the panel. It says some women enter into a relationship with an idealized image of how their spouse should behave. Okay, that idealized image in her mind. When the partner fall, yeah. And so when the partner falls short of expectations and can't meet their every need and desire, it can create a divide in the relationship that provides the impetus to stray. So there's the rationalization behind it. You know, you marry someone in sickness and health, right? But he's not the guy I thought he would be. So let me go ahead and step out and get that extra DNA.
Yeah, but they don't think that's a problem because that's inbuilt in their natural. It's their hypergamy fueled by their solipsism. It isn't. I don't think it's really a conscious thought at that point. It's more in lines with a survival mechanism. I mean, there is a conscious thought. There is a decision when it actually comes down to it. But I think the underlying pressures that are there are being driven by biology and actual behavior that we understand here in the red pill. Any comments on that?
I want to say something about insecurity. Okay, and shit test. All shit tests come from insecurity. Okay, but it depends on what the insecurity is. It's either hers about you or hers about herself. It's insecurity, no matter that brings about the shit test. But if she looks at you and she sees that there's something about you that's not right, that keys in on her. I'm insecure about this relationship. I have to test to make sure that I'm with the right person. Okay. Her insecurity about her is when she feels insecure in herself, she doesn't find that she's value to you. And she's shit testing you. That's where jealousy comes from. She's shit testing you to come up and say, okay, you're the one that I chose. Okay. And if you're not doing that, you're not reaffirming her needs in the relationship. And that's her need for attention, her need for understanding that you did choose her, those kind of things. So just understand that all shit tests come from insecurity, unless they're psychopathic. Now, if they're psychopathic, there's a lot of other reasons that shit tests come about. Or, you know, same thing with BPD. Those are different situations. But in a normal person, okay, and when you're dealing with a normal woman that's not psychopathic or borderline personality disorder, those shit tests are coming from insecurities. And you have to figure out what insecurity it is so that you understand how to manage that shit test.
Mm-hmm.
I would even argue that to feed into that, social media has just made everybody more insecure these days. And so that's going to kind of lead into them doing more shit tests, you know, because like fuck, even Instagram gets on to me sometimes. And I'm like, I've made like multiple millions of dollars and I'm fucking like, damn, I need to do better. I need to be like Andrew Tate. I need to be like fucking, you know, the CZ, the CEO of Binance.
No,
and so,
you just beat Jonathan MLD. That's good enough.
Don't give me that Disney shit.
Hey, money, muscles, game, frame, trademark registered.
Love it, man. Love it.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like I'm openly transparent with all the fucking things that are wrong with me. And I look on Instagram, I'm like, damn, like how come these dudes can just get so jacked and so fucking shredded? This is a struggle for me. When I see people like Phil and Glenn when they're fucking bodybuilding, you know, shit, and Thor, I'm just like, God fucking damn it, man. Like, why am I so inferior? So I can understand why you know, the chicks would do that shit, like the shit testing, and then that leads them to fucking cheating and stuff. But the thing is this too, like women don't win when they cheat, bro. Like how are you gonna go? How are you winning by going out and getting conquered by somebody? You know what I mean?
Yeah, MLD, don't sell yourself short. I gotta tell a brief story. MLD here. Okay, he organized a small convention or get together in San Diego. That's how Glenn and I actually met, was through MLD. So don't sell yourself. Your influence is at that level. We just gotta, it just keeps stroking at it, MOD. You're doing great with that. Don't sell yourself short, money muscles game frame guy.
Thank you so much. I'm doing my best.
Glenn, I know you've been chomping at the bit, man.
Yeah. So I wanted to like highlight the insecurity aspect. See, and I was mentioning it in the chat because Miles asked the question. He's like, why are women, so insecure? They're being told they're so amazing. Well, the reason why they're so insecure, even though that they're being told that they're amazing, is because they know deep down inside them, they're not amazing. So they're constantly seeking that, opportunity for somebody to tell them that they're amazing in hopes that they eventually will end up being convinced and believing it. So they constantly have to, reach for that attention. And that's why we see like social media tends to be one of the most addictive things for women. Why TikTok is so addictive for women is because they want that self-gratification, the instant, response. And if they don't do well, like it attacks them. It destroys them deep down. So that's why they are so easy to be drawn to that. I think MLD has mentioned that before. I think he was talking about women on Instagram and stuff like that, like how they are just like attention whores and they live off of it.
Yeah, they definitely do. I know John knows a little bit about that. The Instagram phenomena, John, with modern women. It seems to be the most popular hookup dating profile. It's more than just a calling card. It's almost a requirement these days that social media is in some form of competence in social media must be present for a modern woman to even interact with you. Would you say that's relatively true, John?
Yeah, no, I always say it like a good Instagram profile is your resume to enter like the hot, sexy, cool club. Like if you don't have a good Instagram, you don't have a good like resume, girls will be like, yo, who is this fucking creep? Who is this weirdo? You know what I mean? It's a prerequisite. And if you have a good enough profile, girls respect you. And if you have a shit profile, they won't respect you. As dumb as it is, man. Think about the genius behind Instagram. Some dude tricked these idiots into posting half naked photos for fake internet points. Like and these girls are selling themselves out in droves. Like when a guy meets a girl, he's like, bro, I met this awesome girl, dude. She doesn't have Instagram. His friends are like, whoa, man, oh my God, what? Like finding a woman, I think the rarest thing right now, in my opinion, with the average modern woman, and I could be wrong, but I think I'm right. It's so hard to find a woman that's demure, right? Women used to be demure. I think I love seeing all these old guys are like, oh, this used to be this bad back in my day, right? Anons on Twitter. Mm-hmm. But no, dude, like the degeneracy is clearly influenced via everything: social media, music, hell, it's in fucking video games, it's everywhere. Like shit didn't used to be like this. Like in the 80s and 90s, like chicks weren't out like with 20 plus body count. Now they have 20 plus body count like by the end of sophomore year or junior year in college. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a big difference.
In high school, John, too.
What's that?
In high school also.
Yeah. And it's funny, when I was a teacher, right? I was a teacher in the West Coast of Japan. And, I was in a middle school teacher, and there was always there was rumors, whatever, of kids who actually, oh my God, they had sex, right? And one of the chick that did have sex, she was this chick that fucking came from a broken home, like no dad and everything. And she had low self-esteem, and she just ticked all the boxes for all the things we're saying here. And, that's really rare in Japan. Like divorce is like a huge black mark on people here in Japan. Like it's just not okay. And so that being said, it didn't used to be like this. It didn't used to be like this perverse and just weird and stuff. And that's why I think, dude, honestly, I think like if a chick has high body count, actually, I don't think, I know, it scrambles their brain, man. It fries their circuits. And that's why a lot of these marriages are failing. That's why a lot of these fucking relationships are failing. because another thing is this too. A lot of these girls, they don't have girl game. They don't know how to be women. They don't know how to support a man. They're too busy trying to be like a default shitty version of a man.
Oh yeah,
And then
tell us girl game. I just picked that up. You're good. You understand this. What is girl game?
girl game is basically enslaving a man with comfort. Like that's being the ultimate yes man, but you're a woman. You know what I mean? So it's funny to see this because these chicks, like, they just don't know how to be. They're fundamentally, not all of them, but a large majority of these chicks are fundamentally broken in a sense. Like, they don't know how to act in a relationship because they're coming from a single mother household, or they're coming from a divorce household, right? And you're not witnessing like a healthy bond between a man and a woman in your day-to-day life every single day, like a normal family does. I had to learn all my relationship skills because I grew up in like a fucking tumultuous single mother household. And I think a lot of people are growing up with this, but they don't even seek an answer because they don't think that they need to. And then two, even when they seek it, they find shit like fucking Matthew Hussey and shit like that, or Derek Jackson. So it's just hard out there for these girls. I mean, I have a little bit of empathy, but not enough to get out there and be Captain Sabo.
Hey, John, I had a quick question to tee off on that. So, basically you're saying that they're in this position, so is it any wonder, that, when you look at the situation, I mean, is it better for men just to like pump and dump than to try and even form relationships with these women because they are so damaged? I mean, when do you think in your mind, if you really, you're in the East, so it's a little bit different, but,
Yeah.
Is it better just to go ahead and pump and dump and move along to the next and just keep cycling and perpetuating this situation? Or, I mean, is there any hope for any kind of reversal or change in this situation that we're in as a species? I guess you would call it, men and women. I mean, understanding that they are pretty much damaged, or in a situation, and we all have. You think you have very little empathy. I have very little empathy, my friend. And my thinking is do you perpetuate the situation, or where do you find the diamonds? There is no diamonds in the West anymore. I mean, I think every one of them has been touched, used, and ran through. I mean, and unless you're like literally dating right out of high school, and like you guys had just alluded to earlier, I mean, even younger and younger now, their body counts are off the chart. So, is there any hope for men in this day and age? In your thoughts?
So, longtime viewers of my show, they know that I absolutely do not advocate for long-term pump and dump. It's not okay. The majority of people are fucked, men and women. That's why the majority of these idiots get divorces. Like, you have to understand, the greatest revelation I've had in 2022 is the bell curve. Okay. And the bell curve shows like literally 50% of people are sub 100 IQ, mouth breathing, window licking morons. And so when you look at the divorce rate, it kind of makes sense because half of these people are fucking idiots, men and women, right? And so I would say this to the men: if you want to have, because I've been in relationships, right? I had a really great relationship that lasted 4 years, and then a good relationship after that. And it's the relationship sex, having a companion to guide you to go through this life with, in my opinion, is far more rewarding than the shallow pump and dumps, because that is like I know Rollo and them talk about fucking like the myth of the lonely old man, but these are people that are fucking married. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Like, dude, you don't want to get old and die alone and have nobody around you when your body's failing and you're like entering that twilight of your life. Like, who the fuck wants to go through life by themselves? One thing I've learned as because I'm I've made all my money and stuff here in Tokyo, but let me tell you something. I made all my money online, and I live a pretty isolated life here in Tokyo, right? And I really don't have a lot of friends because of the way I operate, right? I just don't have a lot of high functioning people around me. And despite having all the money and all the success in the world, there are days where I'm just like, damn, I'm just fucking lonely, and I just wish I had somebody to fucking be a little bit more, have more time with. And that's like when my girls at work and shit like that. But I could not even imagine having to like suffer through and be lonely like consistently. So even me as like a self-made dude with who's like apparently made it to a lot of people, like you know, I could just not advocate to any man to be infinite pump and dump until you die, because the people that I know that are doing that in their late 40s and stuff, behind the scenes they're fucking miserable. They're miserable. That's why these PUAs are fucking getting into their 40s and killing themselves. Even Roosh said it. He's like, I've wasted my life. I've made no life connections. Now I'm an old man, like in a fucking log cabin, and he's so fucking lonely. He had to like, go to Jesus because he had to make up a relationship in his mind. It's not okay. Like, we're supposed to get together, have families. Like, if you were blessed and lucky enough to come from a good family, you understand that some of the best times of your life. I'll never forget when I went home Christmas 2020. I hung out with my mom and my girlfriend at that time. All we did was watch MasterChef, eat Chick-fil-A, and talk shit. And it was like one of the best Christmases of my life, because all you're doing is talk shit at the screen, laughing, having a good time. So I can't advocate for that, because I just don't think it's right. And somebody who really pulled me out of that was Raith here. And he was just like, because I was having questions, because at this point in my life, I've slept with like 250 plus women. And so I'll tell you, as a guy who has pumped and dumped a lot, like I don't the things that make me happy and the things that really bring joy is like when you have a woman you love and like you see her walk to the door and she smiles and she loves you and you love her and you're like, damn man, just fucking love this bitch. I'm gonna go buy you something. She genuinely loves you. I think a lot of these jaded red pill creators and jaded black pill creators who are out here like sitting up every day, turn on the camera. Wow, women are shit. No, you little bitch. Like, you're shit. You're attracting shit women, and you got no fucking solution. So all you do is sit around and cry like a little bitch. And what kind of man is like? What kind of woman are you gonna attract if all you do is turn on your studio like a fucking little man child and talk shit about women and cry all the time? Like, what are you gonna attract? Get your shit together. Like, get out there, talk to women. Yeah, majority of women are shit. Majority of men are shit. Deal with it. That's the rules of the game. Go out there. Try to find a good woman. And if you can't, then hey, sorry, not everybody wins. That's life. And guess what? Next up, you're gonna fucking die. It's not fair. So deal with it.
Yeah, man.
That's a comment on that. I actually really do agree with you on that, MLD. I'll say this: the beauty of it is what they miss a lot of times is being men that have a dominant masculine presence. They understand that, and there's actually an opposite of having that dominant masculine presence air about you, and the opposite of it is a submissive feminine innocence. And when you couple those together, I mean, it's amazing. And there's biology behind this in reality. And I think Jonathan, you just touched on it. I mean, have you ever seen other mammals besides humans, like a pack of dogs? They just stand next to each other, or they're just touched slightly. There's biology, and we know that there's biology and that there's chemistry. That's why we say sex is the glue that keeps the relationship together. It is the mortar between the bricks, the foundations that you build with your personalities. It's held together by the sex. And as we approach sexless marriages, and we know that a big part of that list was sexlessness in that 12 points or some kind of decline there. And that's a big, big deal, because that reinforces that oxytocin, the bonding. And that's why also, the number of bodies counts so greatly, in that you've really kind of burned out those receptors for that chemistry that's meant to bond men and women together in the long run. And there is something very beautiful about having a person or persons, let's just be fair, that have that kind of bond with you in your everyday life for an extended period of time. There is something about that we're rewarded for with fulfillment. So thank you, John. I appreciate you putting it out there. All too often in our space, the really sensational stuff gets the views and the clicks, and that's going to be the pump and dumps, the ejaculate and evacuate situation. And of course, as young men, that drive is so strong. And now we got women emulating it, so it's not quite that easy. But they're only emulating men with the top 10% or less of men right now. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I don't know. For me, I'll just tell you this. Like, I'll tell you guys, like, if you had to choose between a life of just endless pump and dumps. And dude, like all these dudes, look, even fucking crazy ass Alan Roger Curry got fucking married in his 60s. Like this
He
guy's,
did.
I'm gonna be a lifelong player. I'm gonna be player to the die. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're married now. Shut the fuck up. Right. I think a lot of people believe just because someone has a camera that's HD and they have a couple subscribers, that this person is you know, an authority figure and they're absolutely, you know, irrefutable in everything they say, myself included. I'm open to challenge. And like I said, I consistently go to people. I make sure I talk to somebody who is better than me at something, if not every day, definitely every week, because I'm just constantly trying to be better myself. My live stream is basically like my live streaming journey of self-improvement and success, and yelling at people to do the same along the way.
Yeah, there you go. It's good therapy too. Glenn, you have a religious background. I know that now, Jonathan, didn't you train a little bit to become a minister? Now, Glenn actually has a degree in theology, so there's some biblical foundations to this whole thing about men and women and what you talked about with being together in their older age and the satisfaction and fulfillment. There's something here that's just not esoteric. Glenn, would you like to shoot at it?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because so I'm getting ready to do this podcast with Rollo about religion and why men are leaving the church. And so in my research, like I was diving in it last night and I came across this passage in Genesis, right? And it's, John, you probably remember about the fall, right? Adam and Eve sinned and, you know, God's giving them their curses. All right. So there's this point where God's actually, you know, telling Eve like what's gonna happen with her, right? And it kind of like blew my mind when I came across this, because I never read it like this before until I actually pulled out the Hebrew and got into it. But it says a woman will desire for her husband, and that was a curse that God was giving her. It says actually, surely you will multiply your pain in childbearing, and in your pain bring forth children. The desires shall be contrary to your husband's, but he shall rule over you. So what he's saying right there is that actually the best translation for it is that in the NLT, the New Living Translation, actually has it. It says, you will desire to control your husband, but he will rule over you. So when we see this conflict, right, between, you know, men and women, it's been there from the beginning of time. Now they've just been exercised differently, and you can look at history. Has been exercised differently throughout time. We are just in a position now in our society where women don't need men the way that they needed them before. The needing of a man is nowhere near as significant or as important as it once was. So the reason why cheating is so prevalent now, and so always seems to be on some dude's getting cheated on by his wife, by somewhere, right? And the reason that is because there's no consequence. All right, so you got no fault divorce that allows women to cheat, divorce you, and then get paid, and there's without any consequence. And when you add all these factors up and you look at it, and MLD, you're right, you said it right, like they're cheating, they're not winning, they're not getting any better, they're not improving, they're not doing anything. It doesn't bring them any substance. And that's true, because at the end of the day, technically they are still governed and under some sort of man. So they're cheating, and their freedom and their liberation just puts them going from one man's authority to the next.
Right.
John made a point earlier about the divorce looking, people look down on people that are divorced in Japan. It used to be that way up here. Hate to be the older guy who's saying it used to be that way here, but it was in the 60s and early 70s. If a woman got divorced, it was kind of they got divorced. It was like a shameful thing. And God forbid if a woman got pregnant and she wasn't married, they would send her away somewhere, either to get rid of the baby or to have the baby and keep it hush hush, and maybe the baby doesn't come back to where her hometown is. So yeah, the society looked down on things like that. So it somewhat kept women in line, and they had some I think women back then also had more of a more commitment or more resolve to stay committed. They didn't just want to jump out. Like I think, like Glenn said, they're almost rewarded to leave the marriage, and it's so accepted. I mean, back in the 70s and the 80s, maybe the 80s it got started getting bad, but you didn't see girls on talk show that were 16, 17 years old and having 5 guys on there, and then they're going to do a DNA test to see who the baby daddy is. It was almost celebrated. So, yeah, look how, and that was back then. And look at how the social media has really brought our morals down and the value of the way we look at things now. So it's not, there's no shame for women to do anything like that anymore.
Well, it's more than that. I mean, it's more than that. We talked about the media too, and you've got those articles that are running out, you know, because articles running out there that women, you know, enjoy cheating more, they get more out of it, and claim that there's studies that say that. And really, that's kind of propaganda that comes. I think it's on purpose. It's actually on purpose. And ultimately, this tinfoil hat wearing dude thinks that it's all about depopulation. This whole thing is being driven by it. There's just too much evidence. You can't convince me otherwise. If I look back to the beginning of my life and look at that, biology drives us in a certain way. And the happiest people on the planet have a mate or mates, and they stick with them. And that's just the way it is, man. You know, Phil, did you have something on that? I hear you.
No, I'm just kind of chuckling. My apologies, man. You guys carry on, man. You guys are bringing the fire.
Absolutely, absolutely. What I wanted to kind of bring out here now is, since we're kind of getting there, is that knowing that the likelihood that your woman will step out or leave you, it gives you not the scarcity mentality. It prepares you for the abundance mentality, because it puts you in the moment so that you enjoy the moments as they come. And there's something really powerful about that. And that's kind of the light at the end of the tunnel. And that's the point I wanted to make. And I wanted to get some final comments from Jonathan for sure, is there is a light at the end of the tunnel for all of this. And it's not so bleak, even though the probabilities are against you seeking a relationship right now. There's a lot stacked against you, but guess what? There's a lot more information. There's a lot more science that backs you up and educates you on how to have very successful relationships that benefit you. Absolutely. So, you got a chat posted up there, Phil? I don't know.
No, I hadn't posted it right here. Lan had put out here, I believe that when divorce became popular in the 80s, the daughters saw moms of birth control having sex with multiple men. Mom is their BFF, leads to girls giving their virtue away. John, what's your thoughts on that?
Oh, that's true.
Oh, dude, that's a home run. That's a home run. Like, dude, it's hilarious how women are so influenced by other women.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is just hilarious. Like, I don't know. Like, all my friends can start shooting up heroin around me for like fucking weeks. And I'd be like, you guys are going to be junkies and die. And I'm just going to laugh at you. But if you put like a chick around a bunch of chicks that are shooting up heroin, she will fall into that trap, because they're just herd creatures. I'll tell you, for example, right? I booked 4 different models today, right? So these girls, so 2 of these girls didn't know. So 2 girls came by themselves and another set of girls came together, right? And then we filmed 2 different shoots. And at one point I was like, all right, girls, like, now's the time to change clothes, right? All 4 of them became best buddies, and all 4 of them walk into the bathroom, and they just met each other, and they're like getting naked and stuff in there and changing and having girl time. And I just watching this, and like, these chicks are just pack animals. Like, they're herd creatures. And like men would never do that. I'm never like, hey, Thor, do you want to go to the bathroom with me? I'm like, no, what the hell?
I don't think so, John.
You know? So I just think that they're very monkey see, monkey do. And it's not, I mean, that's just my common sense perspective on it. And then in the Masculine Empowerment Network, Thor did a presentation about divorce. And I think Thor said, like, if a woman's friend gets a divorce, then the probability of her getting a divorce goes up by like 60%.
Yeah, it's more than that, actually. That's called, there's actually a Pew Research study on that I had talked about before. Mm-hmm. And that particular study says a first order friend, which would be something very close to you, children, best friends, and parents. If you have a divorce, they are actually 75% more likely to get a divorce too. And it has a lot to do with that herd mirroring mentality, because now that one's done it, it's okay to do it.
And then the what you said, the friend of the friend increases it by like 30%.
Yeah, the friend of the friend, that threshold drops to it's 30% more likely. So these clusters actually happen and are provable. This is really important because when you're talking to women and you're engaged with a woman or you have a woman in your life, you must, I'm going to get hatred for this, but you absolutely must know who her friends are and if she is the influencer or is she the influence. This is critical.
Dude, fuck yes, man. That is so true because, dude, like I said, like I've dealt with that before. I've dealt with that this chick. So some of this, okay, you know, I'm obviously a controversial guy, right? And some of these girls that would be in my chicks years from last year, these bitches never met me, okay? But they got a fucking whole psychological profile on me. Well, this guy's clearly a narcissistic abuser. Never even met me. Just seen a picture of me, heard about me, like, oh, okay, I've got like a full FBI profile on this dude. Meanwhile, they're giving relationship advice, and what are they doing? Getting pumped and dumped all the way into their 30s, and you're gonna give me relationship advice? That's like me going to like the fattest dude I know and be like, hey, bro, can you give me like weight loss advice? Can you advise me on how to get 6-pack abs? He'd be like, oh, well, yeah, let me give you my perspective. And then it's not going to fucking work out. It's just common sense. But again, common sense isn't common. But you know, this happens all the time with the influence, right? And people too, man. Like for me, for example, like I'm addicted to success. I'm addicted. I just love making money. I'm just all about it. And you know, I'm just constantly just serious about my business, right? And I operate my business with the highest levels of integrity. When people hang around me, they just do better. Like people who are within my proximity, you know, because like you said, a rising tide lifts all ships, right? I am that rising tide. And when you're constantly around people that are, you know, that are also going up, you're going to go up with them. And the same thing when you go down, you're going to go down with them as well. So I just think that who you're being influenced by is so important. And a lot of these humans in general, right? Mark Cuban said this in one of his books. He says, humans always take the path of least resistance. That's why we don't even wait. People don't even want to watch a 1-hour live stream from start to finish nowadays. They want a 7-second clip of it on TikTok. They want a 5-second clip on fucking YouTube Shorts. Right. That's why TikTok and YouTube, like TikTok has changed the social media game, because if you don't have like high dopamine activity on your screen via your content, like people are like, oh, 3 seconds, fuck this, I'm on to the next thing. So that's the world we live in, dopamine slavery world. And when you talk about, there's a book I just read. This book changed my life because I have a new mentor, Brandon Carter, who is like more jacked than me, richer than me, smarter than me. And he told me to read this book. It's called The Molecule of More. And it's all about dopamine. And these people that are dopamine junkies, right? They're the ones always looking for new dick. They're the always ones looking for new pussy. They're the ones always looking for new drugs, new food. They're like a bunch of junkies, like just they need that next high because they can't fall in love with the monotony. And I think every man in this panel has been very successful with business or physical fitness or whatever the case may be. It would definitely Phil and Glenn. And I guarantee you, when Phil and Glenn were getting down to 10% body fat, they're eating the same shit every day. Like, guess what we're having today? Chicken and broccoli. Guess what's on the menu tomorrow? Chicken and broccoli. And guess what?
Yes, sir.
I still eat just chicken and broccoli. That's
it's a staple.
You gotta fall in love. You gotta fall in love with the monotony, and it talks about that in the book, The Atomic Habits. So again, you know, when we look at these stats about cheating and stuff like this, we also have to factor in that half of humanity are fucking morons. That is not like me being subjective. That is objective truth. Half of like literally flip a coin. Boom. Is this person an idiot? Heads or tails? Those are your odds.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we gotta have to add context to that. But people who watch this kind of content typically are higher IQ, typically pay attention to long form content, and typically want to fucking do better in life. Because I used to be one of these people. I'm one of these like people that was on the other side of the screen, and I was studying from 24 up until I came on and made my debut on the screen when I was 29, 2015. So I mean, the guys out there that are watching this stuff, don't get too doom and gloom. You should get doom and gloom if you're watching this shit all day, but you're not taking action on your life. Then you should worry about it. But it's kind of like what Ray Dalio says with the economy. If you're worried about the economy, you probably shouldn't worry. And if you're not worried, you should probably worry.
Oh yeah, it's so positive.
Crazy? Oh, go ahead, Thor.
It's so positive what you just said, because here on the Dragon Ship, we are a rising tide that lifts all ship. You're definitely an honorary Drakkar, and Drakkar means dragons. I mean, you're burning things up in your path, John. I wanted to briefly, you just mentioned the dopamine hits. This is really relevant because it's that need for mystery that's inbuilt into women too. Boredom is your enemy in this environment. That's why they leave you, is you cannot let things get bored. And I want to just throw one tip out there, because you mentioned the chemistry. Most of us are addicted to our own brain chemistry. Absolutely. And it causes so much influence on our own thoughts, our own behaviors. They're instinctually driven. They drive feelings. They drive everything. And one primary example that is provable is, guys, birth control pill for women. We briefly mentioned before John went up, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Guys, if you actually are considering a woman for a long-term relationship and you don't want to be left, you can help yourself by getting her off the birth control pills and watching her behavior as she cleans out. It is provable. It puts her in the same state as pregnancy, in which she will nest and she will do all of the behaviors to select the beta provider. If you get her off of it and her behavior changes, this is really an important tell. And these hormones are so effective that messing with the woman's behavior and her behavior patterns, and they're not aware of it. We're not aware of some of the things we do when our testosterone is high, our dopamine is high. We're subject to these as well, but it's very observable. Birth control definitely changes how women behave around men. So you want to be aware of that too in this. But Jonathan and the rest of the group, I know Glenn wants to get to something. Let's talk about the light at the end of the tunnel, knowing all of this. Okay. Let's talk about the positives there about that. You had something, Glenn?
Well, yeah, I was going to say, like, when we're talking about like women cheating, we have to also acknowledge that, like, dude, guys, we facilitate that shit sometimes. All right. Like, we are part of the problem in, we sometimes could create the environment for the cheating in her mind to be a better option than being faithful to you. So there's things that we have to look at ourselves, are not just her red flags, but the red flags that we also are putting up that are giving her green lights to go do something like that. Because if you're not being that guy, if you're not that guy in her eyes, if you're not always that top quality person, the best opportunity she sees around, then you are allowing there to be an opportunity for her to be attracted or to be interested in going elsewhere. So, and a lot of guys, it's true. I did it before. You get lazy, you get comfortable in a relationship, right? And you think that you got her. You think that she's going to appreciate everything that you do for her. And the reality is, if you are not staying on top of your game from day one to the day it ends, then you are creating an environment and allowing weakness or cracks in your foundation for it to collapse. So it's not always on her, although she's responsible for her own actions. But sometimes we as men can facilitate an environment where her cheating seems like a better option than being faithful to you.
Yeah, men become complacent. I've done it. I've been cheated on. Every time I was cheated on, it was because, looking back in retrospect, I couldn't see it at the time, but looking back, I could see where I became complacent, and you just get used. You think you got your woman at home, and you get kids and all these things going on, and you quit taking her out. You quit doing the things you did, which is really hard to do once you're married and have a lot of kids. But I say it's a lot easier to be single than it is to be married. I've done both several times, and it's much easier to date or just go out with women or have women over than it is to have a woman and maintain that. I don't really like to use the word intensity, but for lack of a better word, maintain the frame is what you would have to say over long term. I've done it for years at a time, and I slacked off, and then there you have the cheating. So unless the man takes responsibility and looks within himself and says, how did I allow it to get here? Then he's one of the guys on the red pill content that always complained about women. They're all going to cheat. They're all this. They're all that. Instead of looking at himself, he needs to take the word blame out of his vocabulary, and then quit looking at her and say, hey, how did I allow it to get here? What happened? Look back and contemplate the relationship from the beginning to the end. Because more than likely, if she married him, there was a time when she was just head over heels in love with him. So what happened between that time and the time she first stepped out?
Really interesting. That's
I'll
very
say
true.
this. I want to add on to what
Yeah,
Mark
please
said
do.
too. It's not like you slip up like 3 days in a row and she's like, that's it, I'm gonna go fuck the neighbor.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, it builds up. It builds up for time and time. Like, I would say the more damaged and broken of an individual she is, the less room you have to screw up. But honestly, you're just like better off just having that kind of bitch out of your life. But you know, she's doing you a favor. Everyone, I mean, if you get cheated on, dude, it's a good eye opener for you as a man. But the thing is, like, it doesn't just happen overnight. Like this shit builds up.
True.
And eventually they'll have a breaking point, because like a lot of these guys in the like red pill space think like, oh, you know, I'm worth $2 million and I have 6% body fat. I can treat this woman like shit forever and she's just gonna stay here because, you know, that's what the guys in Fresh and Fit said. And it doesn't work like that. They're humans, and women have options.
Yeah.
Women always have options. They may not be better option than you sometimes, but I mean, they do have options and they will exercise them if you don't get your shit right. So there's that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just curious, man. I want to do a quick poll here. Has every one of the men on this panel, at least in their past, had a woman leave them and thought about it? The signs are all there. I have.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think Raith's the only one that hasn't had a woman leave them. Well, she has, but in a different way.
Well,
Condolence.
you see how Raith makes you feel inferior?
I need to book a call.
Well, you know,
So, MLD, when are you coming back out to the States to do another hot dude tour?
Oh, I don't know, man. I'm actually I'm working on something called the MLD Free Tour, and I'm gonna go on tour for free next year. But I'm trying to set up some tax entities so I just like don't get pummeled by the IRS, you know. But I'm working on it because yeah, that's coming along. It's gonna happen.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
so can I say something?
Yep.
Okay. As Thor and I was kind of talking about this before in the green room. I never got zeroed out. The way I am is the way I've always been, even as a teenager, all the way through both my marriages and everything else. When I look at guys and they say, you know, if you're at a point where you're zeroed out, okay, you weren't living your true authentic self to begin with. Okay. I've lost 2 wives. It did not destroy me. Did it hurt? Yes. Did it take a toll on, you know, me having to replan my life twice? Sure. But it didn't zero me out. So if you're zeroed out, you're living in a situation where you're not living or at least know your true authentic self. All right. And if you're a beta and you want to celebrate that, that's fine. I don't care. If you're alpha, you know, I don't even use those terms when I talk to people. And you want to celebrate that, that's fine. But the biggest problem we have with men these days is they don't understand themselves and they don't know what they want in life. And the new rite of passage for men is having sex, and that's not the rite of passage for men. Having sex doesn't make you a man. We have millions upon millions of men that prove that every day. What makes you a man is accepting responsibility for yourself and being able to grow to accept responsibility for others and to become a leader. Those are you want to be a man that other men want to follow. Even if you don't want them following you, you want to be a man that other men want to follow. So, you know, when you ask the question, have you ever had a woman leave you? No, I haven't. I've never had a woman break up with me. I've always broke up with them. So that's where it's at. But like I said, I've been like this my whole life. If I got zeroed out, and I'll go what I tell Thor. It was watching my dad and my mom go through a divorce when I was 9, 10 years old. And I saw the toll it took on my father, and I decided that would never happen to me. At 9 years old. So I've been like this ever since I was 9 years old.
Important lessons to learn early on, Raith.
Yeah. And it's something I passed on to my sons.
Yeah.
You know, and to my daughters. All my kids are in long-term marriages, the ones that are married. I'm talking 20 plus years. I'm an old guy. My kids are old.
Me too, brother. We're not too far apart. I just look young.
So, you know, and I've got a 25-year-old living at home now. He just got back. He broke up with his girlfriend. He's here. And I'm trying to get him to understand that's a lesson that you need to learn from. And change your behavior so that doesn't happen to you again. And he grew up with me. So he is very red pill. But like I used to tell his mother, he's going to find someone that's going to take him over the coals, and how he reacts to that will determine what the man he's going to be in the future. And he's there, and he's working on it. But like I said, I've never lived that life where I feel like I've lost everything and life's not worth living or any of that shit. Because I have enough balance in my life and understanding of myself to know that things happen, and they don't happen. They happen to you. They don't represent you. They represent things that you can learn from and things that you grow from.
Yep. I sure appreciate you, Raith. I want to recognize this particular chat, and then I want to go ahead. I know that MLD's got to run, and we'll continue to stream after that. And I want to definitely hit something about that. But this is a really important point, and this is where we get. And I often wonder if there's a connection to the 45% of all males losing their testosterone as compared to their ancestors in this whole mix. That'll be for another discussion coming up with me and Phil and Glenn in the panel. So, Miss P.D. Foster, too many men become lazy in their masculine role. That puts the woman out of her feminine role and into masculine role of handling all the family's need. Part of her survival instinct, I'm sure that's absolutely true. This definitely sets up that relationship for failure because it was designed in a certain way. As I had mentioned earlier, a dominant masculine presence is offset by a submissive feminine innocence. It's a beautiful thing. So let me get back to it. Jonathan, I want to ask you, my friend, have a solution to this. And you've coined the term money, muscles, game, and frame. Can you briefly describe why this is actually the solution for men today and what you actually offer to help men far and wide, which you have done? You've actually saved men's lives that have been zeroed out, contemplating self-deletion and all of that sort of thing. So can you take it away and tell us what you got with money, muscles, game, and frame as we close this out? Because this is the light at the end of the tunnel. There is good thing here, not just in the topic that we had today.
Well, I mean, look, I don't know. I didn't start this whole YouTube thing to be anybody's hero or whatever. I'm like kind of a reluctant hero. I just started doing this because I just thought it was the right thing to do and I wanted to do it. But I don't know. I never thought I would get as big and as popular as I am right now. And I'm not even big and that popular in the grand scheme of things. But I don't know. I just tell men money, muscles, game, frame, because it's like we're not doing this for women. We're doing it for ourselves, right? The order is there for a reason. Make money, make muscles, learn game, hold frame, right? Because every guy wants money, every guy wants muscles, and every guy wants women. And without frame, you're going to lose all three of those things. And so that's just your guide as a man, okay? And I'm gonna kind of piss off a lot of people, but I'm gonna use my example. Like I've been looking at myself in the mirror lately, and I understand, we're all like we gotta feel good about ourselves, whatever. But I've been analyzing success figures, and I've been analyzing, high level performers and stuff. And a lot of these people that are really successful at the upper echelons, they have control, they have total control of their physical physique. And that's like my personal next uh hill to climb and conquer. But that being said, this is going to be your preventative measures to dealing with that kind of shit, because with game you're going to understand how to pick a good woman, how to understand, hey, this woman is not like good for a long-term relationship. Frame is going to be how to manage yourself, your emotions in the relationship. Money, because as men, money's required of us as men. Like this is women, just like it's just instinctual. Your children are going to provide, look at you as a provider. Your wife is going to look at your provider. And muscles is because it's not necessarily about being muscular and strong, but it's more about like not being fat, taking care of your health, not being a disgusting slob, because you can't take care of your physical fitness and your health. Like, what is like, how are you going to excel in any of these other areas when you're like blatantly sabotaging yourself? So I don't know if it's necessarily not light at the end of the tunnel in regards to like this is gonna cheat proof your relationship, because it's just shit's
It's just
out
the
there.
odds. Yeah, it's just the odds.
But it definitely reduces the odds. And that's what I just tell guys. I just came up with this on my own. Money Muscles Game Frame. I don't think anybody in the manosphere or anywhere in the world has a better forward solution than this for what guys should be doing with their lives, and taking care of themselves and elevating themselves to the next level. Every day I work on this Money Muscles Game Frame every single day. You don't believe me? Me and Thor are working on my frame statement right, or not Thor, sorry, me and Raith are working on my frame statement right now. And it's great. It's great to be surrounded by such excellent men. And I grew up without a father, and this isn't me like to sit around and cry and feel sorry for myself, but I knew that how lost I felt growing up as a man without masculinity. I knew, like, damn it, I want to learn how to shave my face. I want to learn how to tie a tie. And those are just like infantile things, I need to learn how to make money. Fuck, if I could raise me when I was 16, I would be fucking giga rich right now, But like, I just wanted to be a light at the end of the tunnel, a beacon of hope for men out there who are confused, because I don't have an agenda. My agenda is the truth. And I've just been doing my thing. And like, I'm getting shadow banned and censored and all that stuff because I just have no filter and I refuse to play like, the game. But the people who find me and watch my shit, man, these guys are diehard fans, and I'm turning lives around. And could there be somebody out there doing better than me? Maybe, but I haven't seen him yet. I haven't seen anybody like getting in and like sitting down in front of people and like not having a bunch of cheerleaders, but the guys actually turn their lives around, right? Thor, Glenn, you guys saw it live in San Diego in 2021 last year around December this time. And I'm not stopping. I'm not stopping until I'm dead. I'm gonna have a fucking stadium full of people one day too. So it's gonna be lit. I hope you guys can make it.
Hell yes. We're going to be there with you too, because we're going to be having a DragonShip event sometime next year as well. John, you'll be certainly invited. Hopefully you can coordinate that.
Yeah.
You're definitely an honorary Drakkar for sure, because you've inspired all of us. In fact, in some ways, this is like the good old days that you and I had over there on the Dude Party, which that was some damn fun. But I didn't realize how much work you actually ground away at to produce those things. There is a amount of hours and intensity that goes behind these broadcasts and behind actually preparing the type of quality for the content is pretty immense. You just did a broadcast the other day that was really top notch on, some interesting semi-political subjects across the world. And I was so impressed with the amount of research that you put into it. I know you're a one-man show, so, hats off to you on putting that together. And I appreciate it even more now, since you kind of suckered me into this space publicly. I was just a lurker. So thanks, John. Appreciate that. But guys, go check out what Modern Life Dating has available. He's actually going to be at the end of December. I believe you're going to open up the Men's Empowerment Network, which is a very large international organization that is very much focused on money, muscles, game, and frame. It even goes deeper into detail than just money, muscles, game, and frame. It's very personalized, and it's a space where it's discreet. This is where you can hone your craft of basically living a quality life as a man in modern times. And of course, we try to replicate that here on the Dragon Ship and promote those sort of things. So we're definitely glad to be in the same ship as you, John.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
It's been good. I'm gonna bounce out of here because it's late. I gotta go to bed. But
Thanks,
I love
John.
all you guys. It was great meeting you, Phil.
You're always welcome.
And I'll see you guys later. Peace
Take
out.
it easy, John.
Okay, so we're back at it, gentlemen. I want to open it up and talk about the topic because I actually think that the likelihood of your woman leaving you is a good thing because it keeps you on your game. Literally, it keeps you on your toes because the thought of her having to step out means you have to fulfill your burden of performance. We talked about this many times when we talked about frame. We did a whole series on frame, and it really boils down to that cardinal rule of he who holds the power in a relationship needs the other the least, giving them kind of the leadership functionality in that relationship. Anybody got commentary on that? We'll just chop it up for a few more minutes here. Hit some chats.
Yeah, go ahead, Raith. Hit it up first.
No, I was just going to say that, from a standpoint of, money, muscles, game, frame, I guess everybody considers me the frame guy since I mostly talk about, male behavior and how male behavior drives female behavior. And frame is important, guys. And it just comes down to the fact that if you're not in control of yourself, how can you ever help to be in control of anyone else? Okay. And by control, I'm not saying that in a negative pejorative. What I'm talking about is being able to look and see what's best for the people in your life that have given you control over them through submission or being your child or your wife or whatever. So I really stress, until you really know yourself, you shouldn't, first off, be in a relationship. Okay. Because all you're doing is asking for problems. And it doesn't take you living to be 60 years old to know yourself. But it does take you, even at a young age, to start evaluating who you want to be and what you want to project yourself to be. Okay? Because you can only project what you believe. And if you're living in a lie, and even if it's a lie you've created, that's an ego investment. It's not the truth. So find out who you are. You may not be the buffest, biggest, baddest guy in the world out there, but you have value. And you get to decide what that value is. And if you know that value going into a group of men like this, they're going to recognize that value. And here's the thing. Women also recognize that value based on what you represent, what you project, and who you associate yourself with. Don't let society or the media or anything else determine who you are. It's your right as a man to do that for yourself. And when you know who that is, you'll attract women that are wanting to live in your frame and be a part of your life. If and you can get your money, you can get your muscles, you can get your game down. But if that's not truly authentically you, you're still only going to attract women that are looking for the things that support their needs, not yours. So the life you live is up to you. The people you associate with is you, and it's up to you. If you don't recognize that and you don't live that in your daily life, you get what you get, and it ain't always good. That's all I got to say about it.
No, I think that's fantastic. What you're saying is pretty darn important. And I want to cap onto that a little bit because I want to talk about, because that's a very positive message, Raith. And that's what I always appreciate about you is the message is so positive. We talk about the money, muscles, game, and frame, but there's much more than that. I have a solution here because we know that the modern women like the 6/6s. I have a solution. And the solution goes much deeper, much like what you said about being authentic. Here is the secret 6, gentlemen. Your physicality, your psychology, your presence, your problem solving ability, your prosperity, and your power, as in wielding it. All you need is 3 of those 6 coupled with your money, muscles, and games. That's how you achieve your authentic self. Get some tools like Raith with his frame statement advice. In fact, he does consult on this, and it's very useful for you to set your path forward for sure. Visit Raith on Facebook. It's Raith Deantior Facebook. That's his official contact. And Raith, I believe you're on IG now, right?
I'm on IG and Telegram.
That's fantastic. And remember the secret 6. There'll be more on that in the future. Phil Foster, what are you thinking, man? All these women just kind of tossing it around because they need fresh DNA, because your DNA is getting off and still sitting in the refrigerator, just molding and growing, and you didn't take it out and warm it up in the microwave for 20 minutes so that it's appropriate temperature for her to enjoy. So she must get fresh DNA.
Yeah. They need that fresh cake batter in their life, man.
Brain chemistry, that's very, very important. I do want to get to somebody's question after Mrs. Foss. She's such a dream.
Yeah, man. Len is here in the chat today, and I just wanted to go ahead and bring this up real quick before I give you a quick dissertation. It's when the woman falls into the masculine role and is trying to think like a man is where her mind switches to cheating. If a man can, I can. And she's always touting this on social media. She's pretty quiet on social media, but she does some stuff on TikTok. And it's interesting is her big thing is what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And she puts some pretty triggering things out there. And it's interesting, when you look at things like that, women definitely emulate each other. But, the thing is when it comes to being a man, if you don't want your girl to step out on you, first things first, you need to be honest with yourself, like Raith was saying. I mean, it's solid gold. Your authentic self, man. You got to know who you are first. Don't expect someone to come into your world if you're not living your best life already. And now, if you're not living your best life, but you're making steps to improve that, kind of like what Thor was saying with the 6 Ps, and you land at least 3 of those plus money, muscles, and game, you're on the path to betterment. And so, as a man, you need to understand your value. You need to realize exactly what you are and what you're bringing to the table. Because here's the thing, you don't have to sell anything if you got your stuff together. It's kind of like MLD, what he was saying earlier in the stream about his status. He lives a pretty quiet life. It's hard for him to find guys at his level. And he's always searching for guys at levels that are a lot higher than he is. And that's an important fact right there, is company you keep as a man is what's going to hold you in the station you're currently at. That's why I enjoyed these streams with Raith, Mark Daniels, Glenn Laurence, and RP Thor. It's because these guys, they have different kinds of wisdom and experience, especially the older guys, man. These guys have been there, done that, man. They've already hit their head. And I can learn a lot from these guys. And so that's what I want to challenge each and every man that might watch this stream. And for the ladies too, the company you keep is the sum of your station in life. And so if you want to be a better human being, then you hang around better people than yourself. You learn from them. You understand and you apply these lessons to your life. And so if you're worried about your girl stepping out on you, you've already lost the game.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep it real right there. If you have one shadow of a doubt that she's going to step out on you, then you've already lost it, man. You know what I mean? And that's going to be a hard road to hoe for you. And what I mean by that, it's going to be a lot of work to recover that. Because here's the thing, once a woman has that switch in her mind flip, then she has and that respect is gone. Let me tell you something. It does not matter what you can do, and sometimes it's just better to cut the bait, and start over from scratch. Now, as far as being a man of status and working on yourself, quality women will come to you. Now, if you were low vibrational, or if you were low status and have increased your status and your girl has not grown with you in that status, then you're going to run into some problems. Been there, done that. Trust me, it happens. She needs to close that gap to catch you. Because here's the thing, when you guys are playing on 2 different fields, it's just not going to work. So guys, what I want you to understand is, will she step out on you if you don't have your stuff together? Absolutely. I've seen it time and again. I've actually been the dude that they step out on with.
Mm-hmm.
And do I feel bad about that in this day and age as I've gotten a little bit older? Yeah, I kind of feel like kind of crappy about that because of what I talk about and what I'm about now. The thing is I want you to understand that it's correctable, and it starts with finding your true, authentic self, kind of like what Raith was saying. And that's pretty much what I got on that, Thor.
Oh, fantastic. We love you, man. That's a good one. I want to kind of direct everybody to this question and get your thoughts about this real quick. Look at this note here. Agree, some guys become lazy and set after they pulled women. But a lot of what he's talking about is typically applies to westernized and feminized countries. Overseas is a different ball game. I'm not sure I agree with that, gentlemen.
So you got to look at it like this: like, guys get lazy in every country. Guys get comfortable in every country. Okay, it's not just the Western world here. Yes, women tend to step out more here on the West because they have incentives to. I mean, again, like cheating is now a reward for them. Okay, they could cheat on you, get your money, and still come up on top. There's no consequence. So yeah, here it's more promoted, but at the same time, like you could do things. You could do things to avoid and minimize that risk. But see, the thing is, it always comes back to the guy, and here's the reason why. Because one, you either are missing the signals that are slowly building up of her slowly drawing away, or her attention going elsewhere. You're not acknowledging them, or two, you are not putting in the work to level yourself up to make sure that you are not, or you are in a position to where if she walks away from you, you're okay. But see, it's a mindset thing as well. And I hate to say this, guys, but we men are naturally the romantics. And sometimes you got to realize that is going to be your downfall. Okay. She's not going to love you just because you're you. All right. Like straight up, I'm a dude that got cheated on. My ex-wife cheated on me multiple times underneath my nose, didn't realize it. And it was horrible. It sucked. The reality of it sucked. But you know what? It was a blessing out of it. She cheated. She's gone. I leveled up and got a better one. So it's like, don't look at it all bad. But at the same time, I had to self-analyze myself and realize, like, where did I go wrong? Where did I miss a step? What was my mindset like? What was I taught? What was I believing at that time? And when you factor all those things in, you realize at the end, it's not all their fault. There's a lot of things that we do, okay, that cause these things to happen. So, yes, in more traditional world countries, they are not cheating at the rate that they are cheating now because they have a structure that's in place to support that family dynamic. Out here on the West, in America, we don't have that anymore. Okay, there's nothing to support the family dynamic. Actually, if anything, there's more support for single mothers and being a single mom than there is, a family dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at Russia today or China. They're definitely moving away from that as far as masculinity and femininity is concerned actively. They're not participating in the wokeness. In fact, boy, if I had time, I would pull it up. I remember Putin being the bad guy that is. He talked about communism had embraced wokeness in the 30s and right before World War II. And I'll have to look it up for another show, but it's pretty interesting what his comments were on wokeness. It's not a new thing. It definitely, the way what the West handles male and female behavior based in feminism, that's where wokeness came from. And feminism has embraced it from day one as a social disruptive. Like I said with Jonathan, I believe it's actually on purpose to reduce population and keep men from fighting. It keeps us distracted.
And I don't agree with the statement either, Thor, only because
okay,
if you take it from a standpoint that there are cultural values in Eastern countries and stuff, there's still cultural values that people are following. Wokeness does away with those cultural values, and they try to set a new set of values, which is basically the Zen philosophy of values, the values of no value. So it's live your life, be what you want to be. You're not responsible for anything. And if you accept responsibility for something, it's because someone owes that to you to begin with. That's my opinion of wokeness. All right. It creates a sense of entitlement, and that sense of entitlement allows you to do things that what's acceptable in this culture wouldn't be acceptable in other cultures. So it's not that those countries are better. It's just they're living under a different set of values. And if you're ever in the military, if you ever travel somewhere with the State Department or something like that, and Glenn can tell you this, the first thing they do is give you a cultural briefing on what you can and can't do. All right. And those cultural briefings are different from, country to country, but they all have basically the same thing. There are traditional values of loyalty, honor, integrity, and all that stuff that we seem to not want here in the U.S. or other countries. And we replace that with the values of integrity, honor, loyalty, all that stuff. Our countries are replacing that with the value of individuality over everything. And everyone knows that an individual left to their own devices without a good set of core values is bound to be amoral. It's just nothing you can do about it. And that's the biggest problem we have in this country right now. It's not morality, it's amorality. Because there's nothing is wrong, nothing's off limits. And, the libertarians, and I'm a libertarian, so
Why? Card carrying, brother.
libertarians believe that everybody has the right to do whatever they want. But
With exception.
with exception. But that premise means that you still respect the rights of others.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that premise isn't in woke ideology. It's you have the right to do whatever you want. And if someone doesn't agree with that right, then they're the enemy. And you can't respect their rights.
Yeah. And I'm sure that's the original liberal definition that was usurped by the left.
Right. So I don't agree with it. Like I said, just based on the sense that if those countries or those cultures start experiencing a moral decline like we have, they're going to have the same problems.
I agree. All right, guys, let's wrap this up. I've had a blast today with MLD, with Phil Foster, the ever-present Master at Arms Glenn Laurence, Mark Daniels, always inspiring us, and Raith Deantior with his wise wisdom of age and experience. Now, let's go ahead and let's do a quick roundtable. We will start back with Raith. Where can we find you? What can we see? And we got something special to take you out with. And remember, next week, we're going to have a really special show. I'll tell you about it when it comes to me. Raith, take it away.
Raith Deantior, Raith_Deantior, Instagram, Facebook, and Telegram. If you want to hit me up on any of those, I'll answer. Telegram is usually faster because that's where I spend most of my time counseling other guys. So, but hit me up and I check them all at least once a day, but usually the Telegram I'm on 4 or 5 times a day because I'm getting constant instant DMs from it. Beyond that, I don't have anything special other than if I counsel you or if you want to work with me, I have a little men's group. There's like 8-9 guys in it right now that I'm trying to help level up, and that's kind of where we're at.
That's fantastic, Raith. Appreciate you. Mark Daniels, Mark's Inspiration. Let's hear from you. Where can we find you? What's coming up? I know you got some stuff on your channel. You're also another member of the Dragons subscription membership. So tell us about yourself.
Yeah, you can find me right here on YouTube at Mark Daniels, Mark's Inspiration, or on IG at Mark's Inspiration. Got the show coming up tonight at 6 p.m. Central Standard. I'm going to fly in here. 6 p.m. Central Standard Time with Joshua Palmer. We're going to talk about actually 3 of these aspects here we've been discussing. What is it? Game, fitness, game, and frame. That's what we're going to discuss tonight. He's traveled all over around Mexico and down in Argentina now. I actually met a nice Argentinian girl. He's going to marry her. So he's engaged. We're going to be chopping that up tonight. And if you'd like to get my help personally, you can contact me at my website at marksinspiration.com.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mark. Glenn Laurence, ever present Master at Arms. What do we got, brother?
Oh man, I'm just gonna be working on. We got your big brothers on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we're gonna be putting out content. Thursdays is our Thirsty Thursday show, so make sure you tune into that. I believe I'm actually gonna be heading up Thor's way today. I gotta get my
Yeah.
cut.
Yeah, we're gonna get your Dracar's cut for sure.
Yeah.
If anybody
Other
doesn't
than
know
that,
what it is,
as if you guys didn't know, last Sunday Rolo announced that on his show that he's gonna be doing a show. He'll do a show with me on red pill and religion and why men are leaving church. So I recently did a quick video on that before, and I'm working on diving in deeper. So it's gonna be really neat. It's a really great opportunity. Looking forward to that. So you guys make sure to stay tuned for that.
yeah, we're
Other than
really,
that,
we're really happy
that's it.
about that, Glenn.
Thank you.
A Dracar from the DragonShip, and remember all of Glenn's contents here on the DragonShip channel, along with my RP Thor, Phil Foster, Mark Daniels, and Raith Deantior as well. Phil Foster, what are you up to?
Not too much. I just wanted to go ahead and circle a couple of quick things before I close out with you guys. This one right here, and this is what's great about this panel show on Saturdays here on the DragonShip. It gets people thinking, right? And this gent says right here, where Men's Daily Advice and Encouragement channel, he says, where people get it messed up is assuming the rest of the world is like the USA Matrix behavior. Yeah. Overseas, they do not have the government backup and encouraging women's bad behavior and bad decisions. That's the great thing about this panel and having all these different ideas and minds. We can throw this stuff and kind of kick it around. It's a great opportunity. And Bob Marine says, great show. We'll start watching from now on. Salute, gentlemen. This is great. Welcome to the tribe. The DragonShip is going to have some awesome content coming week in, week out. Glenn's working really hard. We got some guys definitely putting some content together, some shorts, and we got Randall behind the scenes handling business for us. And it's going to be a lot of great things on the DragonShip channel. You can find me at Phil Foster Fitness _ on all platforms. My business is philfosterfitness.com. We have your training, supplements, hormones, all of it dialed in 100%. If you're looking to level your fitness,
Phil, you should just play the video.
Oh man,
you want me to do it? I can just throw it up on the stream real quick.
It's up to Thor. What do you think?
Yeah, I got that one. Go ahead and let's play Phil Foster's video before we close it out. It's real short.
Yeah,
can you load it in the share, Glenn?
Yep, I'm going to pull it up right now.
You guys
prep next times, but it really explains what's going on with Phil and all these guys on the DragonShip are amazing men. Go and join their channels while Glenn's getting this up. Remember, you got Phil Foster, you've got RP Thor, you've got Glenn Laurence, Mark Daniels, Raith Deantior, and Randall's in the background monitoring the DragonShip, which is our multi-platform channel. We've got ourselves on Rumble, Instagram. We got the YouTubes rolling, and shortly we'll be broadcasting to Twitter as well. So there you go, the DragonShip. And this is, go ahead and go full screen with that and play it for us, Phil Foster, Vice President.
Thank you.
Can you go full screen? Oh, I'm not hearing it. We'll have it loaded next time. Not hearing it. Okay.
I just wanted to say, hey, Thor, thanks so much for putting this together. And Ray, thank you so much for your wisdom. Thank you, Mark.
And you need some assistance. Make sure to go to philfosterfitness.com. philfosterfitness.com is your one-stop shop for all your fitness and workout needs. Get your high-quality protein that's packed with all the essential ingredients that you need to support muscle recovery and muscle growth. And if you haven't reached your fitness goals on your current workout plan, make sure to go to philfosterfitness.com and book yourself a one-on-one consult today. When you book your one-on-one consult at philfosterfitness.com, you get a customized workout and nutrition plan that's designed specifically for you. Look, you're an individual, so a generic cookie-cutter workout plan that you found off the internet will only get you so far. So if you really want to level up and reach your goals, you need a customized workout plan that's designed specifically for you. So if you're really wanting to reach your fitness goals, why wait? Go to philfosterfitness.com and book yourself a consult today.
Okay, well, that was pretty damn good. We kind of got it off to a rocky start. You didn't get to see it all, but that was really nice. Let's take that. Can you take that out of there, Glenn, please? Out of the share. And yeah, for sure. Glenn or Phil, add to that.
Yeah, it's just 100%, man. We got your supplements, training, and hormones. I use an app for all my online clients. We got the men's community. If you're looking to level up your fitness, and you got every aspect of your life dialed in, man, hit me up, man. I can definitely get you going in the right direction. It's important, man, to have your fitness, man, because your physicality leads your mentality. Your mentality will definitely follow your physicality, man. You learn a lot about yourself under the bar, and I want you guys to be the best version of yourself. And once again, Ray, thank you so much. Mark Daniels, Glenn, Thor, it's been a great show. I enjoyed it. MLD was an awesome guest. Excellent job bringing him on today, Thor. Thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely, guys. You guys are wonderful. Hey, let me just go over real briefly. I'm so excited. Next time we're going to be talking about, next week, we're going to talk about the red pill is not your ideology. It is not your religion. It is not your philosophy. This is what everybody gets wrong. And we're going to cover the exact reasons with respect to every one of those guys out there trying to fight this battle. And we're going to talk a little bit about why it's so important not to take just the fluff, because there is fluff in the red pill. And there's reasons for that, because we need to get guys aware of this stuff. And in order to do that, we need to get eyeballs here. And so I do not blame, but I respect the guys that have done that to get eyeballs here. But the reality is it is a praxeology, which is a loose science based on the fact that the intent of all human behavior is intentional. Therefore, that's what we look at, and we use the empirical evidence to make our judgments on how we should behave as men in order to optimize ourselves. And with that, you can find me at RP Thor, YouTube channel, RP Thor Instagram, and of course, the DragonShip. Now, guys, I am going to take us out. I'm going to try to do exactly what Glenn did here, if I can try to do it without messing anything up. We're going to do a share screen, and I will end up taking us out, and we should enjoy this. And we're going to talk about the dragons and why you guys should all become, members of the Dragons membership. It is all of these men that are on this panel that get together monthly in a private space exactly for you. It's very reasonable, and it supports this channel, and it expands this channel, and you're going to get much more in-depth and uncensored content that's very masculine, just for men. So with that, I'm going to add this and see if we can't add this to the channel and get you out on it today. So let's get you going. See if we can't get this playing. And here we go.
If you like this video, make sure to check out the DragonShip's YouTube page, where you'll get all our latest videos, hottest clips,